that's what we are occupied with, a leadership solitude and a new approach to learning. And we are within a broader open day of ETTA. There is a number of sessions that are currently uh, running or that have already taken place. There will still be a few sessions taking place today. That's where we are, overcoming leadership solitude, a new approach to learning. There is a parallel session on the power of values in the organization. There's a case study shared by Irina Kostiuk and Marta Leszczyńska. I know it is running precisely at the same time, but if you have enrolled for this session, you will get the recording later as well. What we are occupied with is actually the outcomes of the newest report of the World Economic Forum, which is highlighting the future of work and the skills that are the most appreciated and the most expected by employers now. So even though some of these skills might seem like competences of the future, the fact is that they are in great demand at this particular moment. And you can see a screenshot from this particular report of the World Economic Forum, and you can see which of the skills we are referring to specifically. So, by the way, if you want to still develop the skill of curiosity or get a little bit of a competence on AI for leaders, you can still enroll in these sessions. And I think Marta can paste you the enrollment link if you want to benefit from any of the sessions that are still coming up along the day. We are at ETTA. We enable leaders in global organizations. I hope that maybe some of you have already worked with us. Maybe some of you will work with us in the future. And that's the core of what we do. Cross-cultural cooperation is our daily bread, I would say, where we collaborate virtually, remotely from various locations, in most cases also across cultures. So as a company, we do a lot of support on this, how to collaborate efficiently, productively, and with pleasure. Yes, that's what we want to focus on, and obviously how to lead such teams. So this human-centered leadership is about really having people in the focus, and I believe that stays very much aligned with the demands and expectations of generations, where every individual person is becoming more and more important. What we are focusing our ETTA Open Day on is maybe more at this area, future of work, and we run plenty of different courses on this. For example, systemic thinking, analytical thinking, innovative mindset, a well-being in a digital world, which is a separate competence in itself. So please do feel welcome to check us out for any future collaborations or project. Myself, I am Monika Chutnik. It's actually my realm. I love the world of teams and teams that have been able to build their psychological safety, have been able to find their ways of overcoming ineffective working strategies, and on the contrary, they have become the high performance teams in the hybrid, in the virtual environment. So that's my focus, and my working languages are German, Polish, and English, which we are using for the session now. I'm really so glad that many of these areas can be so directly addressed in a way of training, coaching, or development nowadays. When I was myself a student of management in the first go, we were learning a lot about, models and business models, but there was not so much about managing people. So maybe I needed to learn in practice, and I'm so glad that leaders nowadays have a much broader opportunity to develop. Okay, that's the introduction, and now we go into our topic. So overcoming leadership leadership solitude, and I want to tell you about this phenomenon in itself, but I also want to tell you about some ideas of how we can actually take a completely different approach to learning and helping people grow. And I hope this will be useful, interesting, and maybe even innovative to many of you. So let me share you some stories about Thomas and about Joanna. What about Thomas? Thomas is a manager in the area of financial services in SCC, in a shared service center. I'm having a side screen here where I read my content. That's where I turn my head. His team has been growing recently, and he's facing challenges about building sustainable structures to manage this number of people. Maybe he had just a few tens of people in his organization. Now he has many more tens of people in his organization. And the question is how to manage that. His personal strength used to be keeping personal contact with teammates, but he is unsure of how he could keep relationships with so many people now, and he's feeling overwhelmed and also unsure about how he can move on. Okay, that's his situation. But before I ask you whether you've ever seen that or been there, let me tell you another story about Joanna. So Joanna is actually very ambitious and hardworking. She used to exceed the expectations of her individual targets, and she has recently been promoted from an individual contributor into a role of a team leader. And you can imagine that the nature of her tasks at her hand changed substantially. So what she is busy with now is very different to what it used to be before. And also she discovered that some people in her team are not at all so perfectionist and, determined as she used to be. So that came a little bit of a surprise in her role of as a leader, and she finds herself pushing people for performance, and she also starts feeling that something is going the wrong way. She doesn't know how she could solve this situation. She is now at the point of starting to blame herself that maybe she's not giving enough, maybe she's not, smart enough or whatever enough. And that's her story. And let me tell you, these are real stories, but I want to check with you. Have you ever seen that, been there? Which of the situations have you actually seen or maybe even experienced? The situation or Thomas or Jana? Please let me know in the chat which of them is resonates with you, with your experience. Maybe as a person who observed, maybe as a person who actually was a part of this story. Let me see your comments in the chat. Hmm. By the way, hello Katarzyna, hello Marta. Thank you for joining. Let me see your answers. Thomas, Joanna, do they resonate with you? Have you ever been there in such a situation yourself or seen that for other people? Uh-huh. Tomasz, both situations as a manager. But also HR support. What about others? That's a question. Do you find them realistic or probable from your experience? What do they have in common? That's my question. What do they share? There is something about Carolina. It feels like I've already met them. Maybe they had a different name, but these situations like to repeat sometimes. Thank you. And there is a common denominator here, and there is something about this solitude. It's about this feeling of, being facing some tasks by maybe even a very smart person indeed, but feeling a little bit insecure, unsure how to handle, how to make the next step, and also who to ask for support. Even if you are in a larger organization, you might sometimes be lacking the support from other people in your company. what might be some of the reasons that leaders feel so individual, yes, maybe I would even say lonely or alone. Okay, let's go into Mentimeter. I will be asking you to share some of your ideas. What might be some of the reasons that in specific positions it might be a little bit harder sometimes to ask around, to ask for help. Our producer Marta has now pasted the participation link in the chat. If you click this link, you should be able to open a Mentimeter window, which will be asking you the same question. What might be some of the reasons for leadership solitude? Mhm. And I can see your comment in the chat, Kinga. Mhm. A very smart comment. Even regardless of the environment, you might be in a similar situation. So let's go for exploring the various points of view here. We've got first answers. Let's go for more. Hmm? Perfectionism. Joanna from our story knew something about this. I don't want to show to other people that I am not perfect, fully perfect, perfect enough. New in my role. Yes, there is uncertainty. I don't want to show that maybe other people will judge me as incompetent, something like this. It's very true, no? uh, um, Fear to seek for advice or help. Okay, maybe I'm not sure whether the people around me are my allies or maybe not, so I better not check. Okay, there is this protection of my um, safety, security, absolutely. Lack of mentors, absolutely. Feeling incompetent. The more incompetent I'm starting to feel, the less inclined I am to look around for support externally, which might seem paradox. Again. Lack of networking practice. It might be a matter of practice. I love this comment. Thank you for this one. There seems to be a skill around that might be missing in the story of Thomas and Joanna. Working in silos. Oh, yes, absolutely. He is having the team of financial services, but maybe his colleague, Matthew, is having a team of another business area, but they are not really cooperating with each other so much, maybe even competing internally, and there is no clear, no easy way of asking each other for help. hmm Absolutely. And one of you also wrote this imposter syndrome. Yes, they will discover that I don't know. I don't want that. Maybe we also fear the losing authority as a leader, or maybe losing trust of our people. Yes, it's not only about the personal protection, but we also want to protect the environment that we are in. And that is taking us the wrong way. So we might be wondering what might be some of the ways to help Thomas and to help Joanna in this situation. What would you recommend? Let's go into chat. Let's go into chat. I'm actually assuming that many of you will write, speak up. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Speak up, talk about what you need, find the right person. Yes. If your company is really supporting you, they might actually send you to a training. It's what you can do directly. A training might be a very good way to start, but it might also be not fully enough. But why not enough? Why trainings might not be enough? That's the question. Why trainings might not be enough to address this issue? Let's go into the Menti again. You should see a new window where Menti is opening, and let's submit your answers. So my kind of a perception is that training might be a very good first step, absolutely, but it might not be enough to fully help Thomas and Joanna solve their situation, solve their issues. Let's go into the same mentee again. Mhm. And I can see that you're on a very good track. There might be a different way than training to really address these issues that Thomas and Joanna are facing. Trainings might not be enough because the trainings do not provide enough practice. Okay, you only meet in a training once or twice, and the daily practice takes place every day. So once or twice in a training might simply not be enough because maybe it's not a problem of lacking skills. A very good comment. Thank you. So it might not be about lacking skills. It might be about something else, maybe about the perception of myself, maybe about the understanding of my role, maybe about the self-confidence, yes, or maybe about my ideas about what is, creating authority of a manager. Absolutely, because we learn more as we experience and need to be able to reflect and discuss our experience. Yes, I think you're hitting the nail. We really learn a lot. We might learn a lot in a training. Usually it boosts, it inspires us. It shows us something that we didn't know about something before. But then to put it into practice might be a separate story. So exchanging experience, like for example, shadowing, might be really necessary. A training cannot cover your personal barriers. Lovely, thank you so much. One-on-one coaching might be one of the ways. Yes, if your company has enough budget to provide one-on-one coaching, that would be a very good approach. In the situation of Joanna, for sure, probably, and in the situation of Thomas, with high probability as well. Mhm. Being a leader involves working with people. They are unpredictable. It's hard to predict that what we may come across. You need to practice, yes. We are individuals, so these are all very true answers, and it tells me that you're in the right session with me today, because I actually want to tell you about this different approach to learning. And maybe we can have trainings as a starting point, but just like many of you have shared in the Menti, it might simply not be enough to make a full impact. That's what we want to do. And what I want to present you as a way of addressing some of these challenges and bridging the gaps will be mastermind, will be action learning. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. That's experiential learning, which tells us that it's really learning by experiencing, learning by doing. I personally perceive this as a vehicle transporting transporting vehicle, transporting the training contents into practice. So we frequently go to a training, we learn beautiful things, sometimes very, the groundbreaking, yes. And then the next day we return to our desk, and the daily routine has not waited for us. It's already too late. We are overloaded again, and the beautiful impact of the training is, decreasing. It's maybe even disappearing. So this mastermind or action learning practice might help you actually find a system, build a system that transports the learning from a training into your real daily operations. Learning by doing, also with social support, with a support of other people who will be, your allies in this process. Absolutely overcoming leadership solitude, those situations of absolute loneliness in a very regular situation of Thomas and Joanna. 100% practice. That's what we want to talk about today. Mastermind is going to be my focus for the session today. So let me explain you what that is. It is a format of work for a small group. Usually, the group should be between 4 up to 7 people, let's say, not too small, so that you can really learn in the fullest richness, not too big, so that the meetings don't extend too long, okay? They're not too overwhelming. The meeting structure involves airtime for each participant. So you bring your real challenge as a participant, and you get, what do you get from the other participants? You get hints, you get tips, you get inspiration, you get sources, you get maybe stories of what they experience themselves, maybe models, maybe questions. You decide what you want to get. Maybe in some situations you want to get ideas. In some other situations you want to get the perception of other people, how they perceive your situation, because you want to understand yourself. Maybe in some other situations you want to get benchmarks. Okay, so you decide what you want to get from the group, basing on the real challenge that you bring, and you find your own ways to address your challenge. And you also, after your airtime is gone, then the next person is taking the lead, the airtime. They share their own real challenge. You are in the role of the advisor, maybe like a little coach, or like a little mentor for this person, and you learn by helping them as well, because we discovered that many of the challenges that people face, they're like, oh, I didn't know other people have the same issue. It resonates with me, and you learn by being in this group, okay, and by working together. Plus, it's not only what happens in the session, you actually commit to what you want to do next time. So when the group meets the next time in this meeting cycle, you you tell the others what you've done. Isn't it the best social commitment? You promise the others what you will do, to yourself in the first place, of course, and then the group checks, okay, what have you really done? Okay, it's like the best performance check. How does it really work? This group works with a moderator. Okay, so a moderator is a person who stabilizes the process, who ensures the focus, okay, that you don't get off track into side conversations, but that your work really stays very effective, okay, very productive time, that your work has good quality. Okay, that's the role of the moderator, to ensure that. The moderator is also there in case any disturbance happens. For example, your airtime is 20 minutes, and then somebody starts talking and they take 10 minutes of your time. It might be out of balance. So then again, it's the role of the moderator to address that, to keep the right balance. Okay, it's a series of sessions. It's not a one-off meeting. It's a series of meetings. And thanks to the fact that it's a process, it ensures stable outcomes. It helps to build new habits into practice. You realize that you build new habits by keeping on doing the new thing, and not just by hearing about the things once and then imagining that you would change something. So that's actually one of the best vehicles to stabilize, to help develop and stabilize new habits. Also, the social support, the fact that you are meeting people who are also working on an area similar to yours, that the people who are giving you support, who will give you some maybe solutions, ideas, they will empower you to find your own way. It's really important, especially in some roles where we don't get this support so much from other people. And obviously, the online cooperation is fully feasible in this mastermind format. So, who is the mastermind for? Well, my general answer would be, basically just for anybody. And let me see how you understand that. So, what roles might especially benefit from masterminds? From your perspective, we had situations of leaders, but maybe not only leaders can benefit from masterminds. What do you think? What kind of roles in the organization, what kind of people might especially benefit from the format of meeting each other, working in a small group? Let's go into Menti again, and let's share your ideas. What's your perception? How do you see that? Again, it's the same link. The website should refresh itself. Maybe you need to press F5 for reloading it, and then you can submit your answers. Let me see. Some very good ideas here. Leaders, leadership roles in general, yes. Aspiring leaders, yes. Leaders new to their role. Oh, absolutely. There is so many new habits that they need to develop, like Joanna in our case, maybe even not only habits, but a completely different way of thinking. Very good, thank you. Client-facing roles, yes, so people who face clients and who have different kind of issues with clients, or maybe people who sometimes need to win clients as well, yes, so that might be also interesting. Project managers, yes, they got repeated. Specialists, I can see Scrum Masters. What a lovely idea. I appreciate this very much, especially that the structure of problems, of challenges that they are facing might be very similar across companies. The role is structured in a similar way, the role of a Scrum Master. So also the learning from others might be incredibly strong. HR, absolutely. So there are many roles that can benefit from Mastermind. Let me tell you even more. So apart from people working in large companies, there might also be people running their own companies who might benefit from this format. Maybe also freelance experts, like I'm thinking about many of the DEI consultants who I met in the recent months and years, diversity, equity, inclusion. There is a lot of learning opportunity among maybe people like architects. Yes, you are a very creative person doing amazing things. And where's the benchmark? Yes, to run my architect business, and so on and so forth. So it really is a quite a universal format in itself. Okay, I hope you like it. I hope that you got interested in this. I personally need to say that I find masterminds and action learning the necessary bridge between what you learn in a training and what you actually put into practice. I've been a part of action learning and mastermind groups myself, and the impact has always been very useful to me. I did it a few times. I started my groups. Later, I qualified myself as a moderator of such groups. I want to show you some real stories from the reality of our clients. So let's see them as benchmarks, okay? Building leadership capability case studies of an organization. So let me tell you about what they do, a little bit about the context. That's a company in the IT industry. They've been recently expanding their operations, I think because of the new markets, and it resulted in the growing workforce. They got approximately 15 new managers, the people who were promoted from within the organization. They might be very smart and skilled, and at the same time, they might be quite fresh to the role of a leader. Now, the CEO wants to have something more than just, send them to an ACA training, a leadership academy. They want to have a real competence set in the company with a stable result. There isn't so much of an HR structure in the company. So basically, what they do as a development opportunity for these leaders will stay. There are not so many, how to say, HR supporting mechanisms in this company. That's not this scale or this kind of this organization. So the question is now, you've been working in the development area for much time yourself. How would you address this need? Please share some sample ideas in the chat. Let's go for a brainstorm. What might be some of these ideas? I will tell you how we have addressed this situation as a real case study, but let's go for exploring some options in the chat. Joanna, thank you so much. Self-paced and instructor-led training programs for new managers. Lovely. Yes, I think it's a good idea. Best practice sharing sessions. Sure. Mentoring and coaching with more experienced leaders. Lovely. Yes. This particular organization I don't remember why. They didn't really have so many experienced leaders in particular, but in general, I think this idea is very good. Let's go for more. Let me invite more of you to share. What do you think? What else would you oh, let's just collect some brainstorm ideas. Yes, how would you address that situation? Imagine you are the CEO of the company and you want to have those really well functioning, empowered leaders who know their job and who know, how to move it on, how to make the organization develop. Carolina, thank you. Case studies, yes, problem solving sessions. Yes, absolutely, very good. So problem solving sessions, something really true, something really practical. Yes, that might be very good. Marta, thank you. Workshops with more experienced leaders might be internal from the company if they have such capacity, or they might be external. Lovely ideas. I think they are all very relevant. Now, facilitating networking. Oh, yes. I love it because what I will show you will actually be addressing many of the ideas that you have shared. And let me tell you what approach we've taken. Yes, we did set up a leadership academy, which was a series of leadership skills trainings for leaders. The fact is that they simply did not even have knowledge about leadership practices. And so if we just wanted to practice, there wouldn't be the baseline for practicing. So first they needed to get some development programs, some input, yes, on to develop their knowledge, skills, maybe also attitude, to have an explicit message about the role of a manager. But this certainly wasn't enough, just like many of you wrote in the Menti before, in the chat before. So yes, we completed this with mastermind sessions. So it was an accompanying series of smaller group meetings. As I told you previously about the number of people in a group, 7, 8 people. 8 was a little bit too many, but yes, we've managed. So 15 people altogether. It created two groups that were working in parallel, and the way we structured it was like in between the sessions. So a training session was running once a month, and a mastermind group was running once a month, every time, like 2 weeks in between. Okay, so every 2 weeks you would have a training session or a mastermind meeting, a training session, a mastermind session, and so on. So it was very well combined together. And when people were learning new skills, were learning about new approaches, for example, the model of situational leadership, then in 2 weeks' time, they could already come with a real case where they tried to apply the situational leadership, or they didn't know how to apply the situational leadership onto their team, and there was a real case to discuss. Okay, so it was very well intertwined. The outcome of this program was indeed the solid knowledge and the solid application. And when I say solid, I mean something that doesn't disappear a month later, but something that really stayed in the new leadership competence. Yes, this leadership capability. But we also discovered some additional outcomes which we didn't plan for. Well, maybe we hoped for some of them, but we couldn't guarantee, but they actually appeared. So this added value was overcoming silos as people were working in groups across those little departments that they had. The silos simply didn't emerge. What emerged instead was communication, increased willingness, increased openness for communication, and trust, which is a very precious currency in organizations. And if you've worked in an organization, you know it yourself. And creating a learning culture, what I mean here by this is that having the readiness to ask other people, okay, so I'm having issue like this, what do you think? Simply asking each other. So this loneliness, this solitude of a leader, which I told you, for example, for Joanna or Thomas, did not appear, did not take place in this organization. Well, maybe it did to some extent, but to only a tiny extent. Empowering leaders. Yes, previously they were thinking, are we the right ones? Maybe the company is developing so quickly. Some of them used to think we are the technical guys. Yes, I want to have a development options, but this confidence, this self-confidence was not very strong in some cases. It brought this result of empowering leaders. Why? Because you can see that a mastermind meeting is about finding my solution and doing my work in my practice with the support I'm getting from all the others. So this long-lasting result was in place. I'm actually very happy about this program. It took 6 months altogether, a series of six training sessions and six I think it was a six, but I also want to tell you about some success factors. It's not automatic that this actually takes place. I want to bring your attention to what needs to be in place so that this stable outcome and this added value can appear. The clear program structure. It was very easy to navigate, and it was also very easy to communicate that in terms of the goals and purpose and the expectation towards each participant in the program. What was very helpful was a direct cooperation with the CEO. I told you that the HR department only had a very small helping function in that company. There was no really HR business partner there. So more like an administrative function, I mean. So the direct contact with the CEO was very precious, also in the sense that this person was helping people understand why they are expected to go into these sessions and so on. Then what was helpful was a kick-off session for the whole program where people would be informed about, what's expecting. They could establish first expectations. They could also ask questions about what's coming up. There was a lot of clarity, and in regular meetings, yes, indeed, 6 months buy-in from leaders. I think in this mutual conversation in this organization, it was, well, how to say, I shouldn't say it was easy to get, but the context made it easier. The context was helpful to get this buy-in for leaders. And maybe there is just a little comment, but I want to tell you this is a critical thing. You can imagine that just like in a coaching process, the success of working in this format really relies on individual commitment. So the success of a group is created by each individual participant bringing real cases and doing real work. So when I am a participant in a mastermind group and I can see that my colleague is doing a great progress, it also is a very strong motivator for me. And this is the huge power, the power of social support. On the contrary, and the same way, if I can see that the colleagues around me are just, skipping the sessions, not really interested, then my motivation can fade as well. And the fact that they had external moderator that actually stabilized the process because the people knew that there is this session coming with an external moderator. In this particular program, this was actually run face to face. Mhm. I can see your question coming. Uh, let me tell you this way. I want to show you one more case study, and then we will have time to go back to your question. I'm just putting it on the parking, okay? Thank you. Thank you for asking. And the same request to all of you. Please do share questions. We should have just enough time to address them. The other case study on driving engagement in a company. As a leader, you probably have faced this expectation of a driving engagement. And indeed, this time The organization is a pharma company. It wants to change the leadership style and the leadership focus in the company. It wasn't like this before, but they realize there is a tendency, there are trends in the external market, the expectations and the needs of the employees are changing. So they really wanted to invest in building this culture of appreciation, driving engagement, managing team in a more inclusive way. So in my vocabulary as a consultant, I would say they wanted to change the paradigm of leadership in this company, which is a big task because changing the approach to the way I understand myself as a leader, plus naturally, it's a bunch of new skills. Now, even though this mindset is not completely unwelcome, it's not that people are pushing back, but leaders are unsure about what capacities they actually have to drive this change. Is it something that they can it seems to be big and fluffy and overwhelming as a task that they have ahead of them. And also, there is a certain structure here. There are six main departments in this company, and HR is actually wondering which department to start from. Should they start with the largest one or on the team, 10 leaders on the team in this department, or maybe they should on the contrary, they should run a pilot and they should start with the smallest one with 4 leaders. So, again, that's my question to you. What would you advise from your perspective? What might be a possible approach? Let's brainstorm in the chat. Let's collect a few ideas. What you might see as a possible way to really help this organization get what it wants. Ah, very good question, Carolina. Who has the biggest influence? I don't know that in this story. As this is a real case study, I wouldn't share my fantasies with you. Mixed leaders, Katarzyna, from different departments. Start with them, with the ones that have the biggest influence. As the role models. I understand you. Okay, thank you, Carolina. I would start from a department which will engage the most and will, the one where it's the easiest, the readiness for change. A very good idea as well. I really love it. Marta, create an additional internal team of engaged associates who will promote new culture. This might be very relevant solutions indeed. We took an approach which was the most similar to the approach proposed by Katarzyna. Okay, so we thought this way. Yes, now it might be safer to run a pilot, but the outcome of the pilot in one of the departments might be that in a longer run, they will start like comparing I don't know, the engagement or the leadership advancement in between the departments, which will increase the inner competition between departments. Now, it might have turned true or not, but we decided to really not go into any specific department. Instead, we thought what this company is intending to do is a real culture change. It's a shift in the culture of leadership. So it should be a program that encompasses all the culture and that creates a new language, a new set of competence, skills, vocabulary, and approaches to create this new culture of leadership. Yes, you might imagine we took the mastermind sessions, of course, but not just masterminds. The masterminds are not enough in this case because the masterminds, first of all, we build them from across departments. So actually, I found it very fortunate. There were 6 departments. What a lovely setup for a mastermind group. It was a very lucky situation. Now, obviously, not every group was consisting of precisely 6 leaders from all 6 departments because they were of different sizes, but we managed to create groups which were as mixed as possible. So that was very, very fortunate. And they were meeting not like in the other program, they were meeting every 2 weeks because the work was much more focused. Yes, it was much more intense. What also was a part of this program was a launch on site for all leaders in one large group. What I didn't mention before was that this company had departments like in a few different cities. So one department was in Poznań, the other one was in Warsaw, and I think the third one was in another city. So um, getting them all together into a physical meeting was an added value, and it also helped the organization to give the clear message about what is the path they are taking, why do they want to take this path, why they consider this necessary, what benefits this might bring to the leaders and their teams, and so on, plus all the organizational issues, like a real kick-off, a one-day session. I think it may be 6 hours in presence, yes, on-site sessions. Now, the fact is that some of these leaders were very experienced, but they had a different skill set, so they needed to get a little bit of insight, input, some knowledge, some models on how to approach leadership in the way that is more in line with what the company is trying to achieve. So they did need some input. And this company in particular decided to go for webinars, but my personal recommendation would be to go for anything that works. I think one of you suggested self-paced sessions. Why not? Like a knowledge pills, we called, like a little half an hour, 45 minutes session that you can simply launch yourself and you can consume it in a time which is relevant to you. And maybe also a podcast. We made an experience that in comparison to webinars, which are a great opportunity to collect people, to gather people, at same time, like we are meeting here now, there is a space for a little discussion. But a podcast is very easy to listen. You go to work, you don't need to have any computer, any screen. You don't need to sit. You don't need to watch. You just listen. You can go for a walk. It's very convenient. You can cook your dinner your lunch, yes, in a break, and you can have it on your headphones. So another format, just whatever format, there must be some options for input. Now, this particular organization also was finding it very valuable to let leaders have individual, like to say, individual consultant, individual advisory session. There was a consultant which they trusted, an external company, an external consultant from our team, somebody who had really a lot of experience in their sector, and this person was available for a certain number of slots that the people could simply book within the program. So again, if you go for such a program in your organization, you can also decide whether this will be like a private session. So I meet with my interlocutor, just the two of us. But also, as many of the leaders might be facing similar kind of challenges, these might also be open consulting sessions. So for example, somebody comes to me as an advisor, and somebody else also joins the same session just to listen, and then they share the story. Remember that they already had this new habit of sharing some of the challenges developed through the mastermind. Okay, so this was going well hand in hand. Not everybody wanted to use it, but some people wanted to use it twice or even 3 times. So that's another thing that the company wanted to ensure, yes, to really help leaders, not just to make it superficial, like, okay, we did something, now you deliver, but really making sure that the leaders can really solve all their issues in practice. Plus the closing online session, on-site session for celebration, for summary, but also for a message for all, because the mastermind groups were working in parallel. They didn't really have this meeting together like the previous case study, which I told you about. In the previous example, they were meeting together in this leadership academy. So there was a space for the groups to also mingle with each other. Here, they work quite separately within their mastermind groups. 5 Minds program, and the outcome, new leadership habits which are stabilized enough so that they can be considered as as a new approach, as a really stable and functioning approach to leadership. It's not that everybody became, a top engaging leader, but some people really did make a good progress, and some people at least admitted they accept this approach. And this admitting was maybe even one of the most crucial added value, because the changing the attitude was not due to anybody pushing, but really from seeing colleagues working on their cases. The added value, which I told you about, was the overcoming silos. So you can see that when the departments are additionally in different cities, the silos thing is really strong. So getting the cooperation in between leaders is a challenge. They managed to overcome that, increasing empowerment among middle management. Yes, this was the layer that was the most crucial here. Increased collaboration, communication, solution focus, learning culture. These are similar to the previous one. Some of the success factors, I think I highlighted them before, so I will just say the clear why from top managers. And in this particular program, also distinguishing between the role of a moderator and the role of an expert, because the role of a moderator is to make sure the process of group learning takes place. The moderator doesn't want to dominate the session, no matter what this person bring. It's not a training session. It's not a training where the eyes are focused on the moderator. Not at all. The moderator stays in the background so that the group can get busy with itself. That's about developing this empowerment and the new skills. I think the approach and timeline were very realistic without making big fluffy things around that. Okay, so you can also see how this mastermind approach really can boost many of the skills that are considered the future of work. And I'm referring back to this report of World Economic Forum, which I think is very interesting. And by the way, we were so happy to discover that as a company, we actually cover all the top of these skills in our program. And we thought, okay, we are on a good track. But you can see this with those little arrows, areas that we directly cover in our programs. But what I want to tell you about the mastermind, that it might be the right vehicle, the right system of addressing skills on all various levels, maybe even all of them from this list here. Now, I told you about masterminds, and we help focus on important and not urgent items. Oh yes, those items that are so big and so important, but we never have time to do that. The fact that you are meeting in a regular cycle makes you focus on what's important as well. Now, Marta has already posted an invitation, but before that, I would be curious to know your takeaway from today's session. Then I want to invite you to our possible program, and then I will be getting back to the questions that we had on the way. What is it that you are taking as a reflection from today's meeting, from today's session? What is it you're taking along as something worthwhile to consider? Mhm. What might it be? What might it be? Let's share in the chat. I would be very grateful to hear from you. And as you already guessed my surprise, yes, we are actually making these programs available to open public for the first time ever, because we usually work for a dedicated organization, for a dedicated client. We see so much value in these programs that we actually decided to create open groups where the participating leaders might be from various organizations organizations. And I believe coming from a different company culture might also be extremely enriching. These groups are organized around specific topics. So please do look here. Leading a remote team is one of the areas that one of the groups will be working on. Managing Gen Z at work. How can I leverage what they bring? How to have this good dialogue, make the most out of it. And then the third one is about building international exposure. What do I need to succeed as a global leader? This might be also relevant to HR, just like the previous one, by the way. So there might be a different profile, a various profile of a participant. Yes, this is a regular and paid program. We do have a special offer for today for those of you who are participating in ETTA Day. So that's a super promo from us. And if you want to get that, please make sure you are not waiting too long because it's only valid for 3 days, and you need to use the code grow with ETTA, just like Marta, our producer, has pasted in the chat. I hope we maybe meet in an open mastermind group. Please do share it in your organization if you see need or potential for this kind of work. Maybe some of you have curiosity and want to check how it works. You are very welcome to, as long as you have a real topic to work on, because you know it's about experiential learning. Okay? Oh no, we only have 3 minutes to go, and let's go into the question of Camille. Okay, if you have more questions, please go into the chat. Do you think these mastermind sessions would be beneficial if combined from leaders from the IT company and leaders from client side? Yes. Would it support the relationships, the relations between the companies? Uh-huh. Okay. Camille, that's a very interesting idea. Let me think about that. The way I understand you is that you are a bunch of people working in a company A for a client, and then you think, okay, what about inviting some leaders from company B into the same mastermind group? Why not? I think the key here will be to understand what you want to work on. You certainly have common topics, maybe something like how to win the satisfaction of end user, maybe how to grow the market share, I'm imagining. So the key would be to find a common theme that you would be sharing in these two groups, within these two groups. And then a clear message, yes, what you want to achieve and what you oblige to, what you are getting exposed to as working in this group. Yes, I think there might be an opportunity. I wouldn't say for sure. I would need to check, frankly speaking. It might also be a complicated situation. So let's check for dependencies, because working in masterminds also works well when you have a little bit more of a when you are not directly dependent on each other. Yes, in many cases, it's very helpful because then the communication flows more openly. If there is too much dependencies, maybe it will be more difficult to get this open communication. But I think the topic really might be the key to this case, to this question that you asked. Mhm. Katarzyna, I'm hearing your takeaway. Thank you, Joanna. The missing part, the actual bridge. I perceive it the same way, Katarzyna. In fact, I'm the, I'm the strongest. Thank you, Kamin. I'm the strongest advisor and promoter of masterminds. Once I understood what power it brings and what outcome, what result it brings, I think we need to make it much more available, or how to say, sometimes you have a certain budget, okay, for a for a set of development activities. And then it's really a crucial decision what you want to invest in. I personally think the input-based trainings might be slowly moving away. What we do at our company is when we give a training, there's a lot of discussion work because building relationships and skills is much more important than input, and masterminds are even a step further. Carolina, I'm reading yours. Understand the need, yes, diverse tools and methodologies so that you have the flexibility and your real outcome. By the way, we run these open days only once a quarter, so I'm very happy that you joined today. I can also tell you the date of the future ETTA Open Day. This time we will be dedicating it to the topic of global leader. So if you are interested in attending sessions like this, they are always open, they are always complimentary. You can save the date, the 24th of June, and the enrollment will start later. So we will start planning later. Thank you so much for being such an active group today. And I really hope that you can pass the message on, that you can look at development from the perspective of application and really putting things into practice. Thank you so much for the session today. Please do feel free to get back in touch if you want to. Here I'm showing my WhatsApp or Signal. That's the best way to reach me. Thanks so much and goodbye for today. Thank you, Kinga. Thank you, Tomasz. Thank you, Katarzyna. Bye.